Hello, this is my 2 cents. It's December 8th, Friday, and we've had a busy week. Mike Flynn, General Flynn, pled guilty to fibbing this earlier this week, or maybe it was late last week. Uh, he pled guilty to fibbing to the FBI. Bob Mueller and these special investigator, special counsel for the Trump, supposed to be investigating the Trump-Russia collusion uh, scandal, supposedly. Uh, Charged him with fibbing to the FBI, and he pled guilty. Now, the interesting thing about this is Flynn didn't fib to Mueller. This was an interview with the FBI before there was ever a special prosecutor. And Comey, who was the FBI director at the time, didn't feel that Flynn was intentionally trying to withhold any information. But then Bob Mueller does, and this is what he charged him with because he didn't have nothing else. He put pressure on Flynn, destroyed Flynn. Flynn's bankrupt, got to sell his house. He put pressure on Flynn by threatening to go after his son, and Flynn caved. I mean, he just wants it to be over, and he's a broken man now. And this is a three-star general, served his country with distinction, and this Bob Mueller has charged him with fibbing to the FBI, which is a nothing crime pertaining to. And the thing is, the topic that he apparently fibbed about was totally legal. I mean, he spoke with the Russian ambassador during the transition, and he either failed to mention that during this FBI interview or failed to mention exactly what they talked about. I'm not sure exactly what it was he fibbed about, but he fibbed. And the reason they know he fibbed is the story here. Okay, they had transcripts in front of them when they asked him the question. Okay, and the reason they had the transcripts is the real story here. Is because he was unmasked with a FISA warrant, which is a Federal Intelligence Surveillance Act, where they can unmask Americans. We have the right. You can't just listen in on an American's conversation without a warrant. But this act allows the government to listen in on foreign nationals' conversations as long as they mask the American side of the conversation as far as who they're talking to. Now, what happened was they went to a FISA court and got a FISA warrant to listen in on this conversation. Now, how did they get this FISA warrant? That's the real question here. I have to go back now to the Russian dossier that the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC paid Fusion GPS to come up with, who in turn paid Christopher Steele to get from the Russians. And he came back with phony. We got information. I don't know how he got it. We don't know. He either made it up, Russians gave it to him, and they made it up, or it's made up. It's been totally debunked. It's a complete National Enquirer type story, and it was completely debunked. Now, when the campaign got a hold of it, when they got their dossier, they tried to leak it. Now, this is where this all starts, is with this dossier. They tried to leak it, and news agencies, of course, tried to verify the information in this dossier, which they couldn't because it's complete and utter bullshit. They couldn't verify it, so it never came out. So this dossier and this salacious information that they had on Trump supposedly Never did come out during the campaign because it wasn't verified. It couldn't be corroborated. And anyway, somehow this dossier got into the hands of John McCain, who in turn, and I'm not sure on the timeline when exactly this happened, but it got in the hands of John McCain, who in turn gave it to the FBI as some sort of, like it was some sort of counterintelligence type stuff. Now, when the FBI got a hold of it, this is where it gets interesting. They used, in my opinion, they used this dossier to go to the FISA court. They dressed up this dossier, made it look legit, took it to a FISA court judge, and got the FISA warrant to unmask members of the Trump campaign and Trump transition team after they won the election, to listen in on the Trump campaign and Trump transition team phone calls with foreign nationals. Complete bullshit. That's illegal. What they did was illegal. They tricked a FISA court judge into letting them listen and unmask the names of the Americans that are on these phone calls. Okay, that's how they got the transcripts from the Flynn conversation with the Russian ambassador, which ultimately led to Flynn fibbing to the FBI. Okay, so now let's get back to this FISA thing. Now the FISA court, or the FBI, I should say, took the stuff to the FISA court. Now, why would they do this? Why did Trump won the election fair and square? Of course, as soon as Hillary lost the election, they blew up. I mean, she didn't even come out to give a concession speech until the next day, because all reports are she was in a rage. Okay, she lost and never expected it. The polls, the pundits, the media, they all said she was going to win in a landslide, and Trump had no chance, blah, blah, blah. Well, she got beat. Now, the reason that she's angry is A, she got beat, and B, in my opinion, she knew just how much damaging information could be gained by a new incoming administration who were not pro-Hillary, okay, or pro-Obama for that matter. And Obama knew this too. Now, Obama, it was no saint here, okay. He authorized these FISA, he loosened the FISA rules, for one thing, to allow a lot more of these FISA type requests to get through. And the FISA requests just blew up during the election cycle. Why is that? I mean, it blew up as far as how many there were during the election cycle. Now, if that doesn't scream of political espionage, I don't know what does. But they blew up. People were people who have no business getting FISA warrants were getting them. Like the our ambassador to the United Nations, I can't remember her name now. I mean, she unmasked people like one a day. Unmasked the Americans in these FISAs. I mean, why? Nobody understands why, and they're still trying to get to the bottom of this. But anyway, once they lost the election, they knew they were in trouble, and Obama knew they were in trouble because this Uranium One deal, Clinton knew she was knee deep in that. And if you notice, a lot of the same players, same names, and I spoke of this 5 weeks ago in one of my videos, the same names, the same people keep popping up. Names like, Bob Mueller, who is the special prosecutor. The interesting thing about Bob Mueller, when Comey got fired, now Comey's his best friend. When Comey got fired, Bob Mueller tried to get the FBI job. Now, Bob Mueller was the FBI director during Uranium One. Now, why would Bob Mueller want to get his old job back? I mean, he had the job already. Why would he want to get it back? Well, Trump didn't pick him. Trump picked this Christopher Wray. So then Jeff Sessions recuses himself from this Russian collusion conspiracy that Hillary Clinton's team floated out there, and got people talking about the Clinton machine, made people believe that Trump was really a Manchurian candidate for the Russians. So when Comey got fired and Mueller didn't get the job, they worked on getting Sessions recused because he, in a one of these hearing sessions, that said he hadn't spoken to any Russians. And it came out that he had said hello to a Russian at one of the parties or something, and Al Franken, of all sexual deviants, Al Franken called him on it and said, but what about, and they had caught Sessions in what they say was a lie, and he needs to be held in, for obstruction of justice. I mean, complete bullshit. The guy forgot. I mean, he runs into people all the day, all the time. I mean, how is he supposed to remember everything? He wasn't hiding anything. Jeff Sessions, a guy is as pure as the driven snow. So anyway, they pressured the Sessions enough to where he recused himself. Well, now the deputy attorney general, Rod Rosenstein, there's another name that pops up in the Uranium One deal. Bob Mueller pops up in the Uranium One deal. Rosenstein gets named, or it gets control of the investigation. He names a special prosecutor, Bob Mueller, who's also mixed up in the Uranium One with Hillary Clinton. And Bob Mueller picks his team. What team does he pick? He picks an army of Clinton supporters on his investigative team. 96% of the people on his team investigating this Trump-Russian collusion fiasco, 96% are Hillary Clinton donors. 96% are Hillary donors. The fix is in, okay? And everybody knew it. And that's what made Trump so friggin' mad, and I don't blame him, So anyway, once panic set in, once they got their special prosecutor, this guy gets a mandate to look into Russian collusions, and that sweet little line in anywhere else that the investigation leads you, which is an open book to go wherever the hell they want to go. And thus they end up Manafort getting nailed for whatever it was he got nailed for from before he even met Trump 10 years ago. I don't remember what it was for. And I think it was failing to register as a foreign agent or some damn thing. They try to, he's pled not guilty. He's going to fight it, and I don't blame him. But it has nothing to do with the Russian collusion. This Papadopoulos, the guy that they got for fibbing to, nothing to do with Russian collusion. It was all after the campaign, after the election. So this investigation has got nothing to do with Russian collusion anymore. It's just it's a hunt for to nail Trump with some kind of obstruction, trying to find something where he maybe fibbed about something, or they can at least say he fibbed about something. So anyway, they get this FISA, they use this dossier to get this FISA warrant. And all these players, they've unmasked all these people, and they know that they need to discredit Trump fast and get him impeached, because otherwise their house of cards is going to come tumbling down. And that's exactly what's happening. In the last few days, this guy named Peter Strzok, or Strzork, something like that, was dismissed from the Mueller investigation. Now he's another one of these Hillary Clinton supporters. That's the interesting thing about this guy is he was the deputy head of he was the head of counterintelligence, deputy FBI director, head of counterintelligence. Coincidentally, he's the guy that submits the FISA warrants. He's the one that submits FISA applications for a FISA warrant. Also, he investigated and interviewed Huma Abedin, who he gave immunity to. He investigated and interviewed Cheryl Mills, who he gave immunity to, both Hillary Clinton's assistants. He investigated and interviewed Hillary Clinton, who they didn't charge. They didn't put her under oath. They didn't, video the interview, nothing. He's also the investigator that changed the wording in Comey's exoneration letter, which Comey wrote before any interviews were ever interviewed, or any people were ever interviewed, from the term Hillary was grossly negligent to extremely careless, which grossly negligent is the legal term for her having it, foolishly having classified information on her private server. And he's the one that changed the wording so that it didn't meet the legal definition. This guy's knee deep in all of it. Now, and he's on Mueller's team, and now Mueller dismissed him from the team after Flynn pled. That's when, he dismissed him last June, but he didn't it wasn't made public until after Flynn pled guilty, which is interesting because I bet if Flynn knew that, he doesn't plead guilty. But anyway, this guy was dismissed because he was exchanging anti-Trump text messages with his girlfriend, who is also some kind of investigator, anti-Trump Hillary Clinton supporter, investigator in the FBI. I'm not sure, but so he's knee deep in this from both sides. How did Mueller even put this guy on his team, and why did he really get dismissed? Well, he got dismissed because Mueller knew that it was going to come out that this guy was signing the FISA warrants, that used a fake dossier to get a warrant to unmask Flynn. They gave them the affidavit to prove that Flynn was lying when he was interviewed by the FBI. People, this is all so corrupt. There are so many people that are mixed up in this, and they're all trying to cover their own ass, and they're using Trump as the ultimate bad guy, and it's because Trump came in there to clean house, and they all know it. And all this information that can be had by people, that can be had if you want to look for it, is now starting to get looked for, and people are finding it, and the house of cards is getting ready to blow down. And when it does, it will go down as probably the biggest corruption scandal in the history of this country. When you've got intelligence agencies politicized, the justice system politicized, the judicial branch politicized, with Loretta Lynch meeting Clinton on a tarmac. That was not just happenstance, okay? That had to be coordinated with Secret Service and cops and everything else. This is all dirty pool, and hopefully this house of cards will come down. And I think it's already started, and I think in the next couple of weeks, I think by the first of the year, we're gonna have some serious answers here. And let's hope, because the only way this kind of stuff ever stops is if some people go to jail. And I don't mean, go sit in a country club. I mean prison. I mean time. Okay? I'm not talking about playing tennis and being locked in your bedroom. Okay? Somebody needs to go to prison. They need to realize they do this kind of crap. It's a crime against the United States of America. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's what I think. I know a lot of my liberal friends do not think this way, but this is what I think happened, and it is happening, and that's how I see it. I'm just a normal, everyday man. You know, I don't have any special information or anything else. I just gather what I read and try to analyze it, try to think through it, and that seems to be the most logical thing that's going on. I mean, that seems to be the most logical explanation to me. So give me a shout out. Let me know what you think. This is my email is m1ironmike@yahoo.com. Leave me a message, share this, do what you want. And until next week, we'll talk to you later.